Amen. Say man. This is the A-Man Show, back at it again for more content. So the Memphis Grizzlies from the beginning of the season to now has been a mess from the start. After Ja Morant's off-the-court troubles regarding his dub decisions, such as pulling a gun on Instagram Live along with the other antics he's made before this, have caused his team to take a downturn. Last season, the Grizzlies finished off that year with over 50 wins. That ranked them as the second seed in the Western Conference. But they were humbled by the lower seeded Lakers squad, which, by the way, were better than the record indicates. But despite that, going outside in the first round, along with Ja Morant getting suspended, that along with them going from a playoff team to now a team that is likely going to miss the playoffs, is not only a tough pill to swallow, but a reality check for the Memphis Grizzlies. And in this video, we're finna discuss how did the Memphis Grizzlies become a disaster. But first, make sure y'all subscribe. I post NBA and NFL content. Y'all know what to do. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss anything new from me. Anyways, stay tuned and let's get on with it. So the Memphis Grizzlies at a certain point was going to be the team that was supposed to take over the West once the Warriors dynasty was over with. They were one of the hottest young teams in the NBA, and that team was led by the hyper-athletic Ja Morant. As y'all know, 2018 was pretty much the last year of the grit and grind era, because in the 2018 draft, Memphis will select Jaren Jackson with the 4th overall pick of the draft, and just last season won DPOY. The following year, they traded away Marc Gasol and Mike Conley, and being one of the worst teams in the NBA in 2019, they will receive the 2nd overall pick, in which they will select their franchise cornerstone in Ja Morant. As you know, Ja Morant went on and become the recipient of the Rookie of the Year. The very next year will outplay Curry and make the playoffs as the 8th seed before falling against the Jazz. The next year, he will become the most improved player and become a top 5 guard in the NBA, as well as one of the most athletic players in the NBA. And the Grizzlies are beginning to make noise in the Western Conference, being the 2nd seed right behind the Suns. They narrowly defeated the Timberwolves in under 6 games, despite Ja Morant struggling throughout the series. Although the Grizzlies made it out of the first round, we all knew that they weren't beating a fully healthy Warriors squad, as they will lose in 6. Despite that, Morant has proven that he is a bona fide star, as he averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, shooting 44% from the field, 34% from 3, and 74% from the free throw line in the playoffs. Although he only played in 3 games in the second round, Morant played his best basketball in those games, and if Morant played the entire series, it would have gone to 7. Now, obviously that did not happen, but what the Grizzlies did throughout the regular season and in the playoffs have boosted their confidence within themselves tremendously. So much so that the Grizzlies have the audacity to think to themselves like they're the kings of the West, acting like they have accomplished so much that we shouldn't just ignore it, even though their best accomplishment is by making out of the first round, and all the confidence really stems from Ja Morant. Now, after a breakout here in 22, the Grizzlies decided to sign this man to a contract extension worth $231 million for 5 years, and ever since then, this pretty much marked the beginning of Ja Morant's downfall. Now, during last year's regular season, of course, the Grizzlies were among the top 3 seeds in the Western Conference, but the only difference from that year to the year before is that they have been more arrogant. One of the more cocky teams in the league. Like I said, everything stems from Ja Morant, especially from his interview with Malika Andrews, telling her that he's fine in the West, still carrying that aura that his team is established, despite them not really accomplishing anything. If first round win is a big accomplishment, how about you win a ring and tell the whole league that you accomplished? Alright, man? Now, of course, that quote backfired, as one of the craziest trade deadlines in recent memory transpired. Kyrie pairs up with Luka, KD gets traded to the Suns, the Lakers will have a complete roster makeover, this along with the Warriors and the Nuggets. Yeah, this is a certified backfire, and I'm not finished with Ja, because one of Ja's first of many incidents involving him punching a teenage kid during a pickup game while flashing his gun, and also posting his IG live at a strip club after a loss against the Nuggets, the laser gun incident in the Pacers game. All of this transpired from 2 months after he signed that contract to March of last year. He will be suspended for 8 games and will attend rehab, and during that stretch, at least Ja Morant will actually learn from his mistakes. At least we thought so. Wrong. Morant will flash another gun at IG Live, and at this point, something needs to be done. So Morant will be suspended for the first 25 games of this season, and during the offseason, they went after Marcus Smart in a 3-team trade and also signed Derrick Rose as a veteran presence, specifically for Ja Morant. But unfortunately, because of Ja Morant's suspension, the Grizzlies started off the season extremely slow. So slow that the Grizzlies started off the season 3-13, making them the worst team in the league up until that point. Once Morant came back from the suspension, the Grizzlies went on a 4-game winning streak, but they will lose in the next 5 games, going back to their shitty selves. During January, devastating news regarding Ja Morant, and that is him tearing his labrum on his shoulder, and he will be out for the remainder of the season. Because of that, it is unlikely that the Grizzlies will make the playoffs nor the play-in tournament, and that pretty much sums up the season for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies went from being a second-seeded promising young squad to a team that is bottom feeders in the Western Conference. How did they have such a drastic downfall this stretch? How come? Well, there are other factors that contributed to their disaster, such as them not having an adequate enough bench. They have one of the worst benches in the league, and having Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane alone is not going to get them to the playoffs. And plus, of course, injuries of the entire roster. But let's be honest, guys. Everything lives and dies with Ja Morant. He's the reason why the Grizzlies have collapsed this season. He's the reason why the Grizzlies has been one of the most arrogant teams in the league. He is the reason, and all the influences around him have led him to be a negative influence to this team. Getting into unnecessary off-the-court issues, acting tough, acting hard. All of this have repercussions. And for him being cut from team activities, him getting a 8-game suspension and then get another suspension, this time for 25 games, and then come back for 9 games just to tear your labrum on your shoulder, I hope this is a reality check for Ja Morant, because all this shit has really took a hit to his career. And I hate to see guys like Ja Morant, who has all the talent in the world to potentially lead a franchise to a ring, but is throwing his career away by being a fucking dickhead. And as for the Grizzlies, they are really a bench away from being an actual contender in the Western Conference, because these guys have playoff experience such as Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane. And once they add more 3-and-D guys and playmaking guys on the roster, they can compete with the likes of the Denver Nuggets and the Clippers. But at the end of the day, the Grizzlies will go as far as Ja Morant can take them. And if Ja Morant don't stop being a fucking dickhead, if he continues to get in trouble and miss game after game, then the Grizzlies will have no other choice but to get rid of him. No franchise player has succeeded being a head case and constantly getting in trouble. So the Memphis Grizzlies is going to miss the playoffs, and they will have a lottery pick this coming draft if they continue sucking. But they will likely trade that pick to get more pieces, because at this point, the Grizzlies are in win now mode. In all honesty, guys, I think this is a good thing for the Memphis Grizzlies, because one, they can change their identity from that mess that Ja Morant has put the team into. And also, like I said, it's all dependent on Ja Morant, whether he wants to change, because all the shit that transpired throughout the last 2 years, it will be a wake-up call for Ja Morant to take his career much more seriously, which means that he will need to step up as a leader and set a great example for this team. And that is what any contender needs. A guy that is a true leader and can rally the troops. And that is what Ja Morant needs to become, as well as the Grizzlies using that lottery pick to trade for more pieces, especially more veteran presences on the roster, because that's what the Grizzlies were lacking. There is a lack of veteran presence, guys that can hold these younger guys accountable, and they did address that with trading for Marcus Smart and signing Derrick Rose. But with Rose potentially retiring, just having Marcus Smart is not enough to bolster the veteran presence. But like I said, everything revolves around Ja Morant. Everything lives and dies with this man, and he needs to get his act together in order for this team to have success. So in conclusion, the Memphis Grizzlies this season is not the year for them to contend, but next year they have a real opportunity to turn it around. And that's the vid. Let me know in the comment section below on the Grizzlies. Can the Grizzlies turn it around next year? Like I said, let me know, and make sure y'all subscribe to my channel for more NBA and NFL content. Turn on post notifications, and that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show. Sign out.